Good Monday morning. Let me make sure my audio levels are solid and everything is solid. I think it is good to go. How is everybody doing this Monday morning? Wow. I'm excited to have this conversation with you today about the topic that we're going to be discussing. But before I get into that, I want to know how was everybody's weekend? How was your weekend? What did you do? Did you do anything fun? Did you do anything exciting? Put it in the comments. I want to know what you did. Did you do any shopping? Right? Did you watch any football? American football. I watched, of course, football, meaning soccer. Watched my team lose this weekend, which was a bummer. It kind of messed up my Sunday a little bit. It's a big game. Man City versus Arsenal, and Arsenal ended up winning 1-0. 1-0. And it was a bad weekend. From a sporting, team standpoint, but overall the rest of the weekend was great. Let me know in the comments what you did this weekend, so we can go ahead and kind of celebrate. Let me know what you did. Okay, all right. We have Kristen says she celebrated your daughter's 16th birthday. That's big. The big one, 6, right? Is she driving? Is she driving already too? And good morning, Roanne. And then also good morning, Ask Bellwether. I see you over there on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here as well. And Roanne says you worked all weekend. You're going to take a day off. Yeah, you need to take a day off because you are, right, you're studying for that PhD. So you need you need all the time that you can get as it relates to kind of rejuvenating yourself, because I know you've been working hard on that as well. Hey, Georgina. Georgina says it's my husband's birthday. His football team didn't win either. What's his football team? So I have to know. I have to ask. I am a fanatic right now for football. Soccer. And then no, and Christine says not yet. And Christopher says good morning. All right. Well, of course, as always, our sponsor of Win Your Week is Bellwether. The right knowledge is everything. Software. It's software that helps retail professionals find missed opportunities. And we talked about that last week, didn't we? We talked about, when we start talking about financial statements and data, customer traffic, conversion, profit and loss, all these different things, right? But the one major thing that I wanted you to take away last week was around the missed opportunities that you have in your business as it relates to your financial statements and overall results and conversions, and data that you're actually receiving. So go ahead. You will see this QR code, kind of throughout the program, and you actually click on it. It takes you right to a live demo. Make sure you go ahead and use your phone, or of course, it's going to be, it's kind of scroll on askbellwether.com as well. So make sure you go ahead and check them out. The data that they provide will help you from a retail brand standpoint move yourself and forward by leaps and bounds. So I actually have a video coming out sometime next week around that platform as well, to kind of go a little deeper inside and give you more of my perspective and thoughts on how the Bellwether platform could actually enhance your overall business as well. So excited about that. Okay. QPR. Oh, QPR. Yeah. They're in a championship, right? They're right below the Premier League. But we used to watch a lot of QPR. I remember when they were up in the Premier League as well too. Good morning, Cher Jones. How are you doing as well? So today's let me move to the countdown. Here we go. Happy Monday. We are inspiration for today. I've been waiting for this one. I've been waiting to talk to you about this one. We're going to move into, of course, our series. But as always, I got to give you a little inspiration for Monday morning. And I love this one. 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 A man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. I love that because I'm actually going to be releasing our fall series with our podcast, and one of the first ones that we're going to be doing is going to be 7 lessons from Ted Lasso, and one of the major ones is that he always talks about being a goldfish and how goldfish have the shortest memories. But another ones that he's always talking about is how do you expand your mind? How do you see past the things that are currently in front of you? The issue that the reason why I wanted to talk about this one so much and bring it to you is because I think we have to make sure that we are providing and giving ourselves more ideas, right? We have to consume more and more ideas. And by doing that, we expand our minds, we expand our thought processes, we expand how we see things, how we view the world, right? Our worldview. Um, our book, my book that's coming up, the approachable retail leader, uh, the character that throughout the book. One of the things that I wanted them to have was a more global perspective on retail. And you'll see it when it comes out in the book. But the idea is that they are constantly growing and changing and thinking broader about uh, who they are and their leadership. And that takes time, but it also takes intentionality. And so when I think about this quote as it relates to data and retention that we're going to be talking about today, you have to be able to embrace bigger ideas, new ideas. And you have to be intentional about what you're doing. Because if you don't, you don't want to stay the same. Okay, here's the thing. I I am I'm okay. No, I'm not. I mean, let me stop lying. I am not okay if you want to stay the same. I don't come to me. Don't work with me. Don't come to don't hire me to train, right? Don't hire me to mentor you. None of that if you don't want to change. I'm telling you just right now. I am if you don't want to do things differently, if you don't want to see yourself differently from where you are to where it is that you want to be, don't work with me. Um, I if I can say that's a pet peeve, I don't know because I know people are at different points in their lives. But when we start to think about and start to complain around our circumstances, right? It's because we have lacked embracing new ideas to stretch our minds, to stretch our original dimensions and how we see things and how we see the world. And when you are able to do that, you're able to see things so much clearer, right? Able to see. So there's so much clarity. So when I'll give this quick story and I'll move on is that when I started back podcasting in 2007, I had this podcast. It was called The Worthy Podcast, right? Feel like I have a decent last name, but it was super broad. It was diversity, leadership, and coaching. Diversity, leadership, and coaching, and it was just super broad. And it wasn't until I got a coach and Charlie Valher, who walked me through my career, and he helped me see how the all the things I have done in retail, how people needed to see and hear all of that stuff. And he challenged me. And he said, Steve, I want you to come back next week with 13 topics, just 13 topics around retail. And I was like, dude, I don't want to do, I want to do this type of podcast. He said, just humor me. And I ended up coming back with 40 different topics. 40. I went from, he gave me a challenge of 13. I gave him 40, and within that 40, we're probably about 4 or 5 that actually could be broken down into series. And what he did was that he stretched my imagination. He said, "Steve, you have all of these things that are inside of you that are waiting to be placed out there in the world." And he was able to kind of like challenge me, challenge my assumptions, and move me forward. When you think about where you are right now, do you have somebody that's challenging your assumptions? Are you okay with where you are? If you're okay, cool. But if you're thinking about and wanting to do something different, then make sure you connect with me. DM me and connect with me over at worthyretail.com as well, because I'm going to stretch you, right? We're going to create some new dimensions in your minds and your thought process as well, too. And speaking of stretching and kind of continuing the conversation, is that our newsletter has been growing by leaps and bounds, and excited that the Worthy Retail News is out there. We are challenging the we are identifying and addressing some of those unspoken issues that retail leaders are facing. And we just started, I literally just started. So today, you actually, those of you who are on my newsletter, you're actually going to get not so much a behind the scenes, but you're going to get a little sneak take into our Thursdays. Our Thursdays, every Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we actually do, of course, a LinkedIn Live. And so many people have DM me, "I missed it. Is there an audio? Are you gonna retake it? Where can I find it?" So now you can find all of our content that we've done on every Thursday. It's going to be on our newsletter as well too. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. I think everybody who's currently on there, you're going to get a sneak peek, and then those of you who are paid subscribers, you will actually get like kind of the full breadth and depth of content that we have there as well. So make sure you go and check us out at worthyretailnews.com. All right. Okay. So the topic today. Our series of courses are on, data literacy. Last week we talked about financial statements. This week right here, we are talking about retention. Um, let's go ahead and because I got a lot of stuff I want to cover, and it's 8 something already. I want to make sure I'm cognizant of your time. I got a little timer over here to keep me straight. So when we start talking about retention, um, retention is not just about retaining top talent. Retention is not just about retaining top talent. Retention requires that leaders understand what it takes to be retainable. I have a different perspective as it relates to, now I will say different. I have my own perspective as it relates to retention. Throughout my career, I felt the best way for me to lead is to understand retainability, my own retainability, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So I'm gonna wait before I get into that, because I got a whole thing that I want to talk about as it relates to retainability. But here we're talking about data, and we're gonna relate this to retention. So here we go. Here we go. So I had to shrink the no one thing side, because here are I know I'm supposed to, the shares gonna be like, you're supposed to give one thing. Can't. Because this retention thing builds on itself. The one thing where it starts as it relates to keys to retention: clear path, training and development, work hours versus schedule flexibility. We'll talk about that here in a second, and then employee engagement. The clear path, and this is for all of the retail leaders and also retail brands out there, and senior retail leaders, is that when you think about, before you even bring somebody on, what is their path? Where are they going? Where do you want them to go? Where do you want them to go? The issue is that we bring people on board just for that one position, and we don't think about where we want that person to go. Worked for two or three organizations who actually did an amazing job of this. as it relates to when, even before I came on board, fully and went through the onboarding process, they had mapped out where I could go. They mapped it out. Steve, this is where we see you in 18 months. This is where we see you, in 3 years. Da 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 da. Right. I beat all of their projections of where it is that I needed to be. But the thing that provided for me was a sense of like they want me to succeed. The ball's in my court. What am I going to do now with this? What am I going to do with it? Right? I remember my very first day of, this goes into training and development. My very first day at Target training, Greg Pear, I don't know if Greg's listening to this or not. Maybe he is. But Greg said this to me, and I have used it ever since. And he said, Steve, he knew my trajectory. He had people had already talked to him about where they were going to see me, yada, yada, yada. And he said, Steve, he said, you can do anything you want with this company, but you got to own your training and you got to own your development. I can stop this show right here on that right there, go and just go deeper into that. But that is the critical element. When we start talking about all the keys to retention and from a data standpoint, you have to own your own training and development. Organizations, I I have an article coming out, and it is really going to cause a disruption because I am going to be challenging the status quo as it relates to training and development, and even onboarding, hiring, and all of that stuff within the retail industry, because there are so many things that are broken. There's so many things that we need to address, and I have an article that's going to be coming out that's going to address it. One of the major things that it addresses is going to be this training and development piece. They're horrible. I am I am not a fan of LMSs, right? I think they serve a purpose from an initial standpoint, but I think when people sit down in front of a computer screen, they don't have the ability to connect, right? And then I don't think organizations do a great job of coming in and checking for understanding. So when we start talking about training and development, training completion is a vital component, right? You have to complete the training, but you have to also get feedback and feedback scores, as it relates to, how did they do within that training? And then the last element is to check for understanding. Check for understanding. One of the first things that I would do whenever I came into a new market and came into a new store, and I had my schedule, and I had my succession plan piece, and I knew and I realized was that, okay, this person's new, so I know I checked. I had to check for understanding. Hey, how are you doing? Did you get this training? Did you, what did you learn? Right? How you feel like that you're going to be able to apply some of this stuff? Right? All these different things. Right? So the training and development piece and the completion percentage are just the starting point as it relates to this. Um, the other part of retention: full time versus part time, overtime, scheduling, effectiveness. When we want to retain talent, we have to make sure that the elements of our schedule and are effective. And I don't mean, right. Here's what happens, and all of you in retail, you guys understand this, right? You go into your scheduling software, and all you're trying to do is make all the bars green, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. You have the scheduling software, and so you've already programmed it based off. It's all should be already programmed based off of sales, customer traffic, and all these different things. So all you have to do is to put the necessary people in there with their schedule, and it'll kind of populate a schedule, and then you go in and you fine tune that schedule. But what people tend to do is that they just want the scheduling effective number to be as high as possible, right? Because you don't want to stay off those reports. I'm sorry. I'm telling your business. I am telling all your business because I know all your business. You are trying to get that scheduling effectiveness green as possible. But do you have the right people? Do you have the right people on that schedule? If you don't have the right people on that schedule, guess what it leads to? Overtime. Mm. Because if you don't have the right people, the wrong people are going to continue to call out. The wrong people are going to continue to show up. The people that you don't want to be there training and engaging with your customers, they're going to be the ones to show up. Full-time versus part-time. Right? Are you thinking about your scheduling from a full, or even your staffing from a full time? I know there are different parameters. You actually have to have this number of full time people versus this number part time for a different role, different department within the store. All of those things, I completely understand that. Um, Sometimes a three part timers are better than a full timer, and what I typically mean is that a part time person, a lot of times, often than not, they already have another full time job, so they're already committed somewhere else, and they may have a decent work ethic. So if you are able to bring in solid part timers, right, to kind of offset that full time perspective, it helps out from an overtime standpoint. Your scheduling effectiveness may not look as great, right? But if you can explain it to somebody, you can explain it to me as I walk in and I look at your scheduling and effectiveness is 84, where the market average is like 92. But if you can talk to me a little bit about it, right? And you're still getting the same level of conversion, sell through, customer satisfaction is still solid. Guess what? It's a different conversation that we're having. The last piece around keys to retention is employee engagement. Every year we know salary is going to be horrible as it relates to that survey that every company gets, right? It's always horrible. Um, the second one that's horrible that needs to be addressed is, of course, the training and development. Training and development. The one thing that we don't take into consideration. Let me make sure I'm getting all the comments up there. I think the last one, if there's anybody leaving comments or anything, last one I got up there is Sherrison. Sher says, yes, I'm definitely on. Yes, I definitely have my challenger. Yes, you do. I just want to make sure that if there are any other questions that I am not that I'm being mindful of all of that as well too. Okay, good. I think that's the last one that we have up there. If not, I'll go back through and make sure that I'm addressing something. You guys may just be listening. So, employee engagement, right? So once again, the keys to retention: clear path, training and development, work hours, and then employee engagement. All right. Here's the um this is about retainability. This is about retainability. We spoke a little. We spoke about it, right? We spoke about it right here. About retention requires that leaders understand what it takes to be retainable. Okay. Um, what is retainability? What is retainability? I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly because we have our leadership playbook, which is sort of our mastermind training program, and one of the first elements that we talk about is approachability and retainability. Currently, I actually have a training coming up with Wayfair, and we are taking several of their global leaders through the first element of that leadership playbook. And that one is going to be around approachability and retainability as well. So, unique, known value. This is you. You have a unique and a known value. You're able to develop outstanding talent, and you have a valued opinion. And then the last one, I actually just added this one this morning. You are highly promotable and in demand. Can all the other ones feed into this last one. That's why when I was looking at this and I was reviewing it this morning, all the other ones feed into this last one. Okay. Here's one thing I would tell my team all the time. I would tell my team, no volume on the screen. Oh, no volume? You can't hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. It says I have volume. Um, Let me make sure. Let me know if you can hear me or not. All right, check 1, 2. Let me know if you can hear me or not. Button isn't on. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. I exited the call and came back in. I had the volume. I think it was like the volume is fine on this one. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you. Whew. All right. I had a couple mics, so I just wanted to make sure. All right. Cool. Everybody can hear me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can hear you now, but the sound went for a minute. Oh, let me see if that one was. Oh, so this one. This one. Okay, so there was no sound on this one. There was no sound on this one. Ah, that's horrible. Okay, I got to go back. Because this one was too important for me not to talk about. You guys are going to have to bear with me on this one. You're going to have to bear with me on this one. So this all builds on itself. The keys to retention. This all builds on itself. Clear path, training and development, work hours, employee engagement. All right, so now you can hear me. Excellent, because this makes sense when we go to the next one. Clear path. One of the things that we have to understand is that when you are an organization or a company, you have to provide a clear path before like that person even starts. Meaning that you have to have a thought process. Whenever I talk about talent and development or staffing, I often talk about it in the context of an assessment. An assessment. And if you are not assessing the needs of your business and also where this potential person that you're bringing on, where they are and where they can go, you are doing yourself and you're doing that person a disservice. I've had a couple of companies that are actually been able to do this extremely well to provide me a perspective around, hey, Steve, this is where we see you in 18 months. Hey, this is where we see you in 2 years. This is where we see you in 3 years if you do X, Y, and Z. And it was just like, it was amazing because I realized that they valued me. They valued who I was. They valued, my, I guess my leadership, but also what I could bring to the company, right? They were invested in me. So you have to have a clear path, right? Internal versus external promotions. I was always an external promotion, right? And um, a lot of people, when you come on board, there is a difference between those individuals who have been with the company, 10, 5, 10 years, right? And then you end up bringing in somebody, right, that gets promoted into a role that you have been having your eye on for a long period of time, and no one has ever talked to you about possibly going to that role. So there's a whole level of dynamics, and I'm actually going to do something on this internal versus external promotions because it's extremely important that we address that issue. And there's a lot of companies in retail that have a culture um, where even though they bring on externals aren't really valued because they don't feel like they have the requisite skills to fit. But my thought is like, well, why did you even bring somebody on board? But that's a whole nother story. Training and development. First day at Target, Greg Pear, and I don't know if Greg Pear is watching this or not. I think I invited him because I knew I was going to specifically mention this. My first day at Target, I remember talking to Greg, and my career with Target had already been mapped out, and he said to me, he said, Steve, and I use this to this day. He said, Steve, you have to own your training and your development. You have to own your training and your development. And I took that to heart, and I want you to take that to heart. Where are you currently at? What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? Are you owning your training? Are you owning your development? Retail brands, what are you doing differently right now to help your team own their training and development? What, dare I say, a lot of your training and development is really based off of your needs, right? And I get it, right? I get it. It's your company. But if you want to get the most out of your team, you have to change up the model as it relates to your training and development. A lot of the things that I have learned as a retail leader came outside of retail, and I was able to actually bring them back into retail. I had a couple of companies I worked for that encouraged me to get external training, coaching, and development, because there were just certain things that I knew I was going to be able to, I knew I was going to need to actually be as successful as possible within my role. So you actually have to encourage that as well. Work hours and scheduling flexibility. So I can't believe my thing was muted, but that's okay. That's my fault because I didn't go through my slides properly and check for sound. Um, Scheduling effectiveness, because I was going on a tangent. You probably saw my face in a couple of these, previously if you were listening to this when the sound wasn't working. Scheduling effectiveness, because I was telling all your dirty secrets, and what I mean by that is that most markets, when they look at scheduling effectiveness, they want to have that thing as green as possible, right? Right. And what I mean by scheduling effectiveness is that, of course, you have a platform that has already kind of mapped out when conversion is going to need to be high, customer traffic is going to be high, and then where you need to actually have people based on your schedule to maximize the opportunities that are going to be within that store, right? Understand that. But the issue is that when it's populated, a lot of times it's populated with the wrong people. It's populated with the wrong people, because you can have that thing as effective from a data standpoint, but you may have the wrong people actually in there in those positions, right? So your scheduling effectiveness, um, is just part of the process. And when I mean by that, you have the wrong people, is that you can have a whole bunch of people and it's all sorted on your scheduling, but then when you need the people to come in, they call out. They call out, right? Guess what happens? You were green for your scheduling effectiveness, but you got the wrong people. So now it leads into, guess what? Overtime. It leads into all these different things. So I want you to understand and see kind of the foundational things that happen. And somebody put this over here in Facebook, and I have to put this up. And I don't know how it's gonna show up because I haven't used these things in a while. But it says, "Oh my gosh, the manipulation leaders do to get that metric green." I had to put that up there. I can't see who you are, but thank you so much for putting that up there, because I think we see it, we get it, right? I can walk into a store and I look at their scheduling effectiveness, and then I look at their front line and I'm like, something's not matching. So please make sure you have the right people on the right schedule, and that goes to clear path, training and development, which leads, and then scheduling hours and schedules, and then it goes into employee engagement. Employee engagement. So just imagine if you're Tim and you're on that schedule, and you are slotted, you've worked from 7 to 3, and you are, you're ready to go home, right? Um, but the scheduling effectiveness is high, and based on the schedule, Susie is supposed to be coming in to back you up. Susie doesn't call out. Susie doesn't show up, but your schedule effectiveness is high. So now Tim has to Tim, can you stay? Can you stay? Listen to me. This is me. This is Tim talking. I stayed the last 2 days. I stayed the last 2 days. Susie was supposed to come here the last 2 days, right? And what we tend to think is that Tim wants to stay because he's getting overtime. Listen to me. Tim has a family. Tim has stuff to do, right? And so then what happens is that we get pissed at Tim because he can't stay. And we get upset at Tim when we should be thinking about Susie and a lack of our scheduling effectiveness, our training and development, our clear path, right? We get it so backwards. And then guess what happens? When we get our employee feedback, we get so shocked. We get so shocked when our scores around leadership are so bad, right? And then the comments. And if any of you have looked at any of these corporate surveys that you get for your market or for your stores, the proof is in the not so much just the scores, but it's in the comments. It's in the comments that you receive. So you have to understand that aspect as well too. All right. Oh gosh, I know I'm going to be over this one because I had volume issues on the last slide. I apologize, but if you can stay with me, you're gonna get so much value out of this as well too. The last thing that I wanted to talk about as it relates to know one thing is going to be what is retainability, and I think I started this one. I had to go back because I want to make sure I got the volume is here. We're all good to go. So unique, known value, develop outstanding talent, and value and a valued opinion. But it all leads to the last point, which I say is highly promotable and in demand. And I'm gonna just leave you with this one for this no one thing, is that I would often tell my teams if that no one wants your talent, you're doing something wrong. If no one wants your talent, you're doing something wrong, right? I had markets where I would try to get some people promoted. They were like, nah, you can keep them. You're there. I'm good. And I'm like, well, what happened? What's going on? And I would get the inside track of like, that person's this. If there's a horrible, and I would like, because I'm newish, but on my succession plan, I would talk about they were high potential. So I'm like, hey, let's get them promoted, right? And like, nah, I'm good. So if no one wants your team, right, that's an issue. Here's the other last one thing: if no one wants you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. I know we can put it on corporations, we can put it on companies and things like that. But what are you doing to make yourself known, right? What is your unique value? Are you developing amazing talent and exporting that talent? Do people value your opinion? Right? There are a couple other things that we could talk about as it relates to retainability, but I want you to have a understanding of when you start to think about retention, all these things have to kind of go into not just yourself yourself first, but then also with your team. And what does that look like as well? Give me an emoji if you're following with me, tracking with me. All right. We're gonna rock and roll. We're gonna rock and roll through a couple of these last pieces because I messed up and I didn't check my volume. So here, this one right here, this is I was thinking about what can I give you, one thing to ask that is going to really just change up everything that you do, everything, how you see things as a retail leader and even as a retail brand and company. What is the quality of your succession planning meetings? What is the quality of your meetings? How deep are you going into the meetings? And what I mean by that is when you have, high potential people, you have the list of people. Um, are you going deeper into who they are and what they can do, and where do you see them? Right? Your retention is only as good as the quality of the talent you have on your succession plan. It just is. It just is. And when you start to think about your scheduling effectiveness, who do you have on your team as a leader at that store? Right? Is it a meets expectation? They've been meets expectations for like 5 years, right? Well, I don't want to stay. Um, I'm going to just drop this one here too. Well, I can't because they've been steady A for 5 years. Where and their wife works for the store down the block, and the daughter works for this store right here. Oh, I'm sorry, I just dropped it. I had to. I'm just letting you know that's real. No, we can't fire them because then this person will be uproared over here in this store, and then that store will be there's so many things that we as retail leaders, these are the unspoken challenges. These are the unspoken challenges that I'm talking about that are not addressed and that are real. And people are dealing with this when they look at that succession planning um, um, schedule. They are thinking about those things. Oh my gosh, I can't. Tim's been meeting expectations, and then when I come in and I challenge you, and I say, well, Tim's been meeting expectations for 5 years, and also Tim hasn't developed any talent in the last 3 years. Well, you know, it's because he's been challenging with this, he's been doing this, he's been doing that, and it's like no, 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 no. I need people that are going to excel. Right? You can have 1 or 2 years where you're just rocking and rolling. I get it, but if you, and I know every organization will say, well, we need those steady eddies, right? Kind of across the board, and I understand that. I understand that philosophy as well. But those steady eddies need to be doing exceptional work, right? Those steady eddies need to be where I'm sending talent to to get developed from a training standpoint. So your retention is only as good as the quality of talent you have on your succession plan. That's it. Um, that's it. And when we think about bringing people on board. And here's the other thing: when you think about the talent that you currently have, and you want them to go to the next level, one of the major issues that I often see is their inability to do an interview. Um, and we have a solution for that. So we have the Retail Leader Interview Mastery webinar. It's a live webinar. It's Thursday, October 19th, and it's also on Saturday, October 21st. We wanted to do two days just to provide opportunities for people, whether you're over here in the States, and then also for Saturday if you're over there in the UK or you're abroad as well. I would love to make sure that you are part of this process. You and your team are part of this live webinar, because uh, the idea around understanding what you need to learn from an interview standpoint doesn't just start, honestly, it doesn't start the week, 2 weeks before you actually get to interview. It starts even before. It starts even before that process. Understanding who you are, understanding the company, and understanding all the different aspects of the interview process. You got to make sure that you know some of those things as well too. So we will be covering a lot of those things in depth on, like I want to say last Thursday. I actually did a 5 things not to say within an interview, and so we want to make sure that you're actually doing those as well. All right. So the last one, do one thing. Do one thing. I do have a comment over here, and just because I don't have my thing set up, I want to make sure, as a person who has identified as high po on your team and who sat in succession planning meetings with you, I've always appreciated it. Oh, okay, I gotta put this one up. I got to put this one up because this one, I got to, the background. I got to change the background. Yes, I can do this because this is live. And this is how we rock and roll. This is how we do. So thank you. I'm going to put this on the screen because this is okay. This is social proof. This is social proof, by the way. There you go. As a person who identifies hypo on your team and who sat the succession planners, I always appreciated your dig in and transparency around the topic, even if someone made me crazy. I know what this is. Yeah, you did. You didn't make me crazy. You didn't make me crazy. But that was a social proof. See, they get it. They get it. So I listen to me. I don't just talk about this stuff. I'll just talk about it. So let's do this. Let's do this one thing, and then we're gonna get you to the rest of your day. And get you to the rest of your day. All right. That's the wrong one. So to the do one thing. It's very similar. It's very similar to what I talked about as it relates to all the different aspects of the data. You have to identify the opportunity. You have to address the concerns, and you have to plan strategically. And timing is critical. So I was thinking about, but I can give them a couple of new things to do as it relates to data. And I was thinking about, I said, no, these are the same things. These are the same things. Whether it's financial statements or even data literacy in and of itself, these are the same things, right? That you need to do. You have to identify the opportunities that are within your retention process, right? You have to identify the issues that are within your retention process, right? And then you have to address the concerns. You have to address whether or not your succession plan is solid. You have to address or not whether or not what your stores are going to need, not just now, but 6, 12, 18 months from now. What's your what are going to be some of the things that are going to be changing within your market? Are you going to be opening up a new store? Right? If you're going to be opening up a new store, you should be identifying talent back here, 12 months from opening up that new store. Right? Are you going to be closing a new store? I've done that. Not a new store, but are you going to be closing a store? Done that several times. Where's that talent going to go? What are you going to do with that talent? And then plan strategically. The thing about succession planning and even about retention is that when you think about the pipeline, right? You already have people in that pipeline that are what I call like cloggers in that pipeline. And I don't, a clogger is not a bad or a good thing. It's almost an indifference thing. Is because they are either like, hey, I don't, you're not giving me the training and development for me to actually move to the next level, or you're not providing me an opportunity from coaching, training, and mentorship, standpoint with Worthy Retail that actually can help you go to the next level, or you are just like, I don't care. I am just going to stay here, and I'm not going to allow other people to pass me. It's almost like that person in traffic, right? How many of us have been behind that person in traffic, right? It takes that, and they're in a fast lane, and you and there's a line of people behind them. There's a line of people behind them, and you go like this, and you look in front of them, and there's nobody in front of them. There's nobody in front of them. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? That's a clogger. That's a clogger, right? That is a person who's like, I don't care what you say, what you do. I am going to stay right here. And if you want to pass me, you're going to have to go over to this right lane to pass me because I'm just going to stay here. So, and how are you going to deal with the people that you currently have in your pipeline? Right. So before you can move, Tim, right? We're just going to use his name, Tim, from ASM or cashier, from cashier to team leader, or Tim, the ASM, to store manager, or Tim, the store manager, to district manager, how are you going to do that? And how long is that going to take? Right? So retention, you have to think about the timing associated with different moves that you need to make. Right? One move, it's almost a domino effect. One move begets this move, and then that move has to happen. Right? I used to love doing that. I loved that aspect of being able to see, the needs of in other markets or even in other stores, and then be able to kind of move people, or move people around, and not for the sake of like just movement. It was for the sake of like, this person really needs this opportunity over here. This opportunity can really help them as well too. Um, and then I'm gonna go to this last statement here in a second, which sets the cloggers up. Yeah, to be unsuccessful, 100%, 100%. And what I'll put here is that too many leaders wait until they have a staffing or leadership needs, and then they have to take a chance on promoting someone who is a clogger, rather than have an opening. Oh, come on, which just sets the clogger up to be unsuccessful, and then puts you in the same boat. Just, oh my gosh, amen, amen, and amen, and amen. I'm telling you, when when we end up hiring the wrong people um out of fear of having an opening, right? Instead of being able to, have a dialogue with your boss and be like, hey, I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody internal. Well, what about Tim? Tim's not ready. But then you're gonna have this opening. No, so and so they just hit the lottery and they just left. Well, you should have So these are all the dialogues that you have, right? So timing is imperative. It's super imperative. All right. I really hope. I first of all, I apologize. I apologize for oh, so this person knows me. This person knows me, and I am going to use this quote this Saturday. I'm going to use this quote this Saturday, and because I would often say this as it relates to retention and talent. So get this one. Um, this is don't shop, don't shop hungry at the grocery store. Or I would always say, don't shop while you're hungry. Don't shop while you're hungry. Don't shop while you're hungry. I it was something I said in meetings. It's something I would say, all the time. And then Steve, I'm not shopping while I'm hungry. I'm not shopping while I'm hungry. I'm telling you right now, don't shop while you're hungry, because if you shop while you're hungry, you're not going to get the right people actually on your team as well too. So you got to make sure you do that as well. And then Diego, I want to make sure I get all of the comments that people are saying. Diego says, data literacy is so important to understand your retail business and how to grow, develop, and nurture your team. 100%. And then Enrique says, interview skills are so important. They are. They are in so many different levels. In so many different levels. I apologize once again for my audio issue. Earlier, this would have been so much shorter. Thank you for everybody that stayed on to listen and learn about data literacy as it relates to retention. I have some very strong opinions on retention. I could have gone broader and deeper in each one of these areas, and I think I will, and not here, but I'm going to be creating some short form videos on some of these topics that I know that are going to be extremely important for you as a retail leader, and where you currently are. More importantly, about where it is that you want to go as well too. Um, this Thursday, this Thursday, 11 a.m. Things your team are afraid to tell you. Things your teams are afraid to tell you. Don't miss this one. Don't miss this one. Don't miss this one. We got a whole bunch of things that we're going to talk about. And actually, there's only like four. There's really like 7 or 8, but I'm going to break it down to like 4 or 5. That's it. Things your team are afraid to tell you, but you need to hear, and you need to hear as a retail leader. So make sure that you are in attendance this Thursday, as well. So once again, appreciate all of you in the comments, all of your engagement. Thank you so much for letting me know about my audio issue that I had, as well. Share always gets on me like test your scenes, and I tested all my scenes, and I thought I did, but I guess I missed one. So once again, I appreciate you for being here this Monday morning for Win Your Week um, with Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. So thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your week. If you need to connect with me, you can DM me, of course, if you're over here on LinkedIn, or you can connect with me, over on my webpage, which is worthyretail.com, as well. So appreciate you. Have a great day, and God bless.